everyone. Welcome to The Zest, the official podcast of Orange Coast Magazine. I'm Chelsea Ranieri, and this week's guest grew up in the heart of Hollywood as the daughter of Natalie Wood and producer Richard Gregson. After her mother's tragic passing, she was raised by her stepfather, Robert Wagner, navigating both profound loss and a powerful legacy. She built her own career in film and television with roles in High Fidelity, Stranger Than Fiction, and ER, and has since produced the HBO documentary Natalie Wood, What Remains Behind, written her memoir More Than Love, and launched the fragrance brand L'Amour Mère. Today, we're talking about growing up in a legendary family, forging her own creative path, and honoring her mother's legacy. Please enjoy this conversation with Natasha Gregson Wagner. I had the honor of getting to feature you for Orange Coast Magazine's March issue, where we highlighted the incredible exhibit that you have created in collaboration with the Muckenthaler Cultural Center, which celebrates your mom, and it's running through August 9th. And me and my mom actually get to come to the opening. So I am so excited to get to meet you in person and get to see everything that you've created.
That's amazing. And I'm so happy I'll get to meet you and your mom.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we will get into the exhibit a little bit later in the conversation, but to start, you grew up in a home that was both incredibly glamorous and, from what we discussed in the previous interview, also surprisingly normal. So when you think back to your childhood, what's a memory that really captures what life was like for you at that time?
I think that in our household, it was very much like a hub where lots of friends gathered, and my parents were always entertaining or throwing parties, or we were having guests stay. We had lots of animals. There was just a lot going on. It was fun. It was very fun.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like a dream. Like I can picture this like movie in my head.
Yeah, it was very warm and filled with a lot of joy.
Oh, well, after losing your mom at such a young age, you were raised by your stepfather, Robert Wagner, and Jill St. John. So in what ways did that chapter of your life kind of influence the person that you became?
Well, I think so. And also my real father, my biological father, Richard Gregson, he lived in England, in Wales. So I would spend all my summers with him. So, after my mom died, I was raised by these two very strong men, like my stepdad and my real dad, and they worked very cohesively. They got along really well, and they both married these wonderful women that became my stepmothers, Jill and Julia. But I think I got really good at balancing different home lives. Like my life in Wales with my Daddy Gregson and Julia was such a different kind of a life than my life in Los Angeles with my Daddy Wagner and Jill and my sisters here in Los Angeles. So I think I'm a real, I can adapt to many situations. It made me very adaptable.
Yeah, I have a friend who actually lives in Wales. She's from America and lives out there now with her husband. And every photo she sends me, it just looks so idyllic and beautiful.
Yes, it's really gorgeous. I'm actually going at the end of the month.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, how cool. Yeah. Well, you attended Emerson College and then you transferred to USC to pursue acting, eventually leaving after your sophomore year. So can you take me back to that decision and how you felt in the moment?
It was a hard decision. In retrospect, I wish that I had stayed at Emerson and finished college. I tell my daughter Clover, who's 13 and a half, I'm going to make you stick it out wherever you are. But I wanted to pursue acting, and I thought that when I was at USC, I would be able to study acting, go on auditions, and finish college. But I got cast in a really small independent film, and I quickly realized that I had to make a decision. And so both my dads felt that I should pick one, either finish college or do the movie. And so I picked the movie.
Yeah. I think anyone would. That's amazing. How do you remember the feeling of being on set of your first movie?
Yeah, it was very cold. I remember we were shooting in New Jersey in the spring, and it was supposed to be warm, but it was cold. And I didn't realize in movies like that it wasn't like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I was lucky in that film and that Jeff Goldblum was in it. And he was such a wonderfully supportive guide and teacher and friend. So I really got to learn a lot from him on that film.
Oh my God. How cool must have that been? And speaking
cool.
of your acting career, you were also in High Fidelity, ER, Stranger Than Fiction, which I love that movie. So looking back, what stands out most from your time acting?
Well, I was lucky that I was acting in the 90s when they were making a lot of cool independent films. And those were the kinds of films that I gravitated toward, smaller, more character-driven movies. It was great. It was so fun. Yeah. I met so many amazing people. I got to, work with incredible actors. I loved it. It was just after I had my daughter, Clover, I realized that I actually couldn't really do it while I was being a mom. It was the way my mind works. I didn't know how to compartmentalize like motherhood and acting. So I stopped acting. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really challenging. Did you meet your husband while you were acting as well? And I want to shout out for any millennial listeners. He was in Seventh Heaven, which
yes.
I had found out when I was researching you, and I was like, oh my gosh, I loved that show.
Yeah. And that was the other thing. My husband is an actor. And so I just didn't think that both of us could act and parent. Right. And no, we actually met getting our hair cut in a salon in Beverly Hills, which was surprising because who meets somebody getting their hair cut? And then we had like a nice conversation. And then like 2 days later, we bumped into each other in a coffee shop. So it was sort of like, like a very lucky, random, non-internet way to meet.
Yeah, it sounds like a meet cute in a movie.
It was a total meet cute. Exactly. Yeah. It very much was. And we still get our haircut at the same place with this amazing woman, Leah Journeau. And we're actually going on Tuesday together to get our haircut.
I love that.
That
makes me That's like such a happy story.
She was our Cupid.
Yes, literally. Well, you also got to act alongside your stepdad in the TV movie Heart to Heart. So what was it like working with family in that way?
That was funny. It was, it was good. I mean, I was just sort of figuring out how to act. And then also Jason Bateman was in it. I played his girlfriend and he is an old friend of mine. So that was fun too. I remember we shot it in San Francisco. Yeah, just, I don't know. It's fun to work with friends and family, and it's fun to kind of figure acting out, which I was doing as I was acting, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think if I had ever had to work with my dad in a situation, I feel like he'd be giving me pointers and I'd be like, Dad, don't. I don't need your help. Yeah.
That's such a great point. I think, my dad always gives me pointers, even now, about anything. And sometimes I'm like, I got it. Yeah. You're 96. I'm 55. Like, you don't need to give me any more pointers. But I think as parents, you can't help yourself, right? You just give pointers. I mean, I guess we're always going to do that. And our parents are always going to do that.
Right. Which I totally understand. Yeah. Okay. Well, in 2020, you co-produced the HBO documentary, Natalie Wood, What Remains Behind. What inspired you to create this film?
So, I had worked on a coffee table book with my co-author, Manoa Bowman. It's called Natalie Wood, Reflections on a Legendary Life. Mm-hmm. And while we were creating that book and working on it, we were discovering so much more material that we didn't have room for in the book. And Manoa and I both said, wow, one day we should make a documentary. And then he went off with his life and I went off with my life. And I didn't really think about it again. And then one day Manoa called me and he said, I think I have the person to direct the documentary, and his name is Laurent Bouzereau, and I want to set up a lunch. And so Manoa and Laurent and I had lunch, and Laurent is a very, if for people that don't know, he's a very, very talented and well-regarded documentary filmmaker. He actually just won a Grammy for the documentary on, oh my God, now it's going to go out of my head, the incredibly famous John, I'll think of it. Anyway, and when we met, we had the same idea, the same take on the way we wanted to make the documentary. And so we started to work together, and we pitched it to Amblin, and they came on as producers. And then we pitched it to HBO, and they came on as, the network, the studio. And that's kind of how. And then the first person I reached out to was Robert Redford, and he graciously said yes. And so we were sort of like off to the races.
Wow. Did you learn anything new about your mom when you were creating that?
Oh my gosh, I learned so many new things about her. I mean, I always knew pretty much everything, but I would say that like she came more into focus. I mean, I knew that she was like an amazing letter writer, and she kept incredibly detailed notes about her life. She wrote journals and very, very specific date books, and kept all the letters that people wrote to her. She was incredibly organized. She made photo albums, all that stuff. But to actually go through them and see like what an incredibly beautiful and articulate letter writer she was, or she was an incredible artist. She could draw her friends. Some of those drawings will be exhibited in the Muckenthaler exhibition. And yeah, and just she was a really hard worker. She was a devoted actress, and she worked really hard on herself emotionally. She just gave it her all, which I knew, but it was great to doubly know it.
Yeah. I can't imagine I'm thinking about like my mom. There's so many things I don't know about her. Like that would be really incredible to get to like go through someone's life like that and see a different side than you had before.
Yeah. And to see the side of them before they were your mom, that's what I really got to learn about, was how much she wanted to be a mom, how much she wanted her marriage to work after the first time it failed with my daddy Wagner, and then when it failed with my daddy Gregson, and how she felt so kind of lost and alone. And then, I'm so happy that she reconnected with my daddy Wagner, and, her dreams came true, everything that she wanted. And so, just knowing her not as my mom, but as a woman who you're rooting for, you're happy when they get what they want.
Yeah. Which brings me to my next question. You also wrote a memoir titled More Than Love. So can you talk about your experience writing such a personal and emotional reflection?
Yeah, well, I've always written because my mom always wrote, or we wrote letters to each other. And it was just always a way that I processed my feelings and my experiences. And I have a very close friend named Delia Efren. She's a renowned writer in her own right. And she would always say, you have a book in you, you have a book in you. And one day I was visiting her, and she like made a folder on my desktop that said Natasha -book. And she was like, just start writing, And so I went through a lot of stuff that I had already written, and I just started to write. And then she introduced me to her agent, Lynn Nesbitt. And then Lynn, we met with different publishers, and Scribner bought the book. I had written 10 chapters, and then, it came out, the book and the documentary came out on May 5th, 2020, which was like right smack in the middle of COVID. So it was a little bit of a disappointing experience, because I wasn't able to go on a book tour. I wasn't able to do all that fun stuff but I think it worked out, because it was a lot of vulnerability that I was getting ready to put out into the world. And I think that it would have been too overwhelming had it gone a different way for me. So it was like a nice toe dip into this new experience for me.
Wow. What an incredible friend doing that, like encouraging you and supporting you.
Yes, she is such an incredible friend.
Yeah. Well, okay. So tell me about your fragrance line, L'Amour Mère, and how you came to start it.
Okay. So I started L'Amour Mère because, well, I came out with the first fragrance, Natalie, in 2016. I was, I had stopped acting and but I'm a creative person, and I felt so like humbled and moved by motherhood. I love being a mom, and it came very naturally to me. I knew like how to just intuit my daughter's needs, and we get along so well. And I feel that I learned all that from my own mom. And so I just had so much gratitude for the motherhood that I got from her, even though I only had her for 11 years. And so I thought that I wanted to make a fragrance like as like a gesture of thank you, And so I worked for 2 years with this fragrance house in New York City called Mon to create it. I mean, my mom loved gardenias, and so it is a gardenia based fragrance, but I love like citrus notes, orange blossom, and bee guard zest, and all of those. And so I really wanted it to be like an homage to my mom, but I wanted it also to reflect the kind of perfume I like and stuff. So, that's what I started with, Natalie. And then I got distracted. I did the movie and I did the book, and then the fragrance line was just kind of there, and I had to figure out, well, what do I want to do with it? And then I felt that I just wasn't finished. I wanted to rename it because I had more fragrances that I had created, and I wanted it to be colorful because I love color, and I wanted it to reflect like, that side of myself. And so I relaunched it in last July. And yeah, it's just like this sweet little luxury, niche fragrance brand. And here's one of the bottles right here. And
oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And I don't know, it makes me so happy. I love the way they smell. I wear it all the time, we're in 10 different boutiques so far. We're growing, but we're launching our roller balls in May. So it's just like this great little sweet, brand that I created.
And the rollerball is perfect timing for Mother's Day.
Exactly. Yes, they'll be available. These are the EDPs are $175, and the roller balls are going to be $50. So that's like a lower price point, which I think will be a little bit, nicer.
And you've expanded into other fragrances as well?
What did you say?
You've created more lines as well within it. So there's Natalie, and then are there other fragrances too?
There's Natalie, and then I have a rose-based one. This is Sea Love, which is named for my daughter, whose name is Clover. And then
so cute.
And then the last one is called Lublu, which means love in Russian. And this is our unisex scent. So these are the three. And I don't know, I love them.
That's so sweet. And also, I have to say, I am obsessed with your daughter's name, Clover. That's so unique and cute. How'd you come up with that?
Well, so my mom was in a film called Inside Daisy Clover. And there was a book that I read a long time ago called The Mind of Clover that I loved. And then I felt really lucky to get pregnant with her because I was 41. And I don't know. I've always loved that name. My dad tells me that I named a lot of my dolls Clover when I was younger.
No way.
Yeah. So I've just always loved that name. And when she was born, she just looked exactly like a clover. And she still looks like a clover, So
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so special that you named your dolls that. I'm like, I hope my parents tell me a name that Yeah, that's so cute. Okay, so the Muckenthaler. So this exhibit, when this airs, the exhibit will be open for about a week. So how did this exhibit come
Well,
together,
it'll
and what
be
can listeners?
open. Oh, it will have been, right. Yeah, it'll be open.
Yes.
Okay, so the Muckenthaler, that happened because Annabella Pritchard, who is one of the co-curators, she's a big fan of my mom's, and she reached out to me and asked me, if I would be interested in doing something like this. I think in like 2024, it seemed like so long, 2026. And so I met with her. I went down to the Muckenthaler. I was like mesmerized by the beauty of the space and moved by the passion of all the curators there and everybody involved. And so we just, started this process of going through the artwork that my mom collected and the letters she wrote and all kinds of things. And it's been wonderful.
Wow. What do you hope attendees can take away from this exhibit?
Well, I think that so many people know my mom as an iconic actress or a great beauty, but she was also, an extremely intelligent woman who was very, very ahead of her time in terms of women's rights and therapy and the LGBTQ community. And she collected art and she took, literature classes and she wrote poetry. And she just was like a real, she was an artist in every way and just such a tender human soul. And so I hope people, they come away with that, a deeper understanding of who she was. And she was also incredibly brave and strong and, full of intention. She knew what she wanted and she knew how to go get it and she knew how to handle people. And, she was a powerhouse.
Oh, gosh, I cannot wait for that. I'm so excited to come and see it. Well, is there anything that you would like to shout out for listeners to keep an eye out for in 2026? This will come out later in the summer.
Well, let's see. I mean, definitely the Muckenthaler exhibit.
Yeah.
And then we are going to re-release the coffee table book, Reflections on a Legendary Life, next year. And then the rollerballs are coming out and I don't know, just lots of things. There's just a ton of stuff that I'm working on and it's really fun to do.
So exciting. Well, we are coming to the end of our time, but before I let you go, I have 3 final questions for you that we call the Thoughtful 3. So first, you've shared that you are now older than your mom ever had the chance to be. How has that realization shaped the way that you think about your own life?
I think I'm very aware of mortality because my mom died at 43. And I really, because I'm so aware of it, I really take the days seriously. I try to enjoy them and get a lot of work done and spend time with people I love and leave it on the field, as they say.
Yeah, I can feel that from you too. You seem like a very happy, just a beautiful person.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Well, I read that you feel almost like your mom's mother and the protector of her body of work. How has becoming a mother yourself to Clover changed the way that you understand your own mom? Which I'm very much looking forward to getting to experience that when I have a kid.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. I think, my mom she could be a little fearful and overprotective of me. And sometimes when I was getting older, I would be frustrated with the rules or, that I wasn't able to do, that I didn't have a more freewheeling household. I had a very structured household. But becoming a mother, I am the same way with my daughter. I mean, we have a lot of structure here. And then also I am overly protective of her. And I like to know where she is and who she's with and what she's up to because, it's your most treasured human in the world. And so, and I think also just, I felt and feel so loved by my mom. Like I know she just loved me to the moon. And that's how I feel about my daughter. And I know that my daughter feels that I love her that much. And
Aw.
so, I thank my mom every day for teaching me how to love my daughter, like in the unconditional way that I love her.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Well, lastly, if you could define your journey in one word, what would it be and why?
Oh, my journey in one word. I would say resilient.
Yes, I feel that. 100%.
Because I've had to get back up so many times, and I've had to find a reason to live and be happy. I am happy. I'm so happy. But I had a lot of times when I wasn't, when things were really hard for me. But I am a resilient person.
Yes, I 100% understand that. Well, thank you seriously so much for doing this. This was such a beautiful conversation. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And I'm so excited to get to meet you in May.
Thank you, Chelsea. I look forward to meeting you too.